Just say, get to it. Just say they. Council will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councillor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Councillor Fenton. Absent. Councillor Perez.
Present.
Present. Councillor Whitfield.
Present.
Present. Councillor Govan.
Present.
Present. Councillor Allen.
Present.
Present. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Present. Councillor Hurst.
Present.
Present. Councillor Click Bruce.
Present.
Present. Councillor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Councillor Curran. Absent. Councillor Davila.
Present.
Present. Councillor Letterman.
Present. Will the council and guests please rise and join us in a moment of silence? This moment of silence is dedicated to the life, memory, and legacy of Michael Vaz, an inspirational resident, student athlete, and community leader who we lost recently. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may all be seated. Before we proceed forward, please let the record reflect that Councilors Walsh, Perez, Hurst, Whitfield, and Govan are all participating in the proceedings this evening remotely. At this time, are there any reports of committee? Say again, are there any reports of committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the first item on the agenda.
The first item on the agenda.
Please suspend, Madam Clerk. I apologize. Councilor Hurst on the reports of committee.
It really is not related to a report of committee, but really just a point of order, Mr. President. I was looking at the agenda and I saw that one of the items, which happens to be mine, that was postponed because of the meeting a month or so ago didn't end until, ended at 10 o'clock with that particular item. And maybe there was one other item that was continued until this regular meeting. And so, I can only imagine if there are, if it was someone other than myself who didn't have to be here until 10 o'clock and, then they come before us today and they find that their agenda item is at the very end of the agenda, and would have to wait through possibly another 4 hours and maybe not necessarily get their item heard. So completely, I get it, but I guess I wonder if in the future, if we could just be mindful of that, so that if there are any other individuals who have to sit through a 4-hour meeting, that they don't have to in turn sit through another 4-hour meeting to get their item heard. So just something to consider, Mr. President, moving forward. Thank you.
Councilor Hurst, actually, to your point of order, in accordance with the rule, that item really actually should be heard first. And so without objection, I think we should hear that item first. And I'm going to ask the clerk to call item 32.
Councilor Letterman.
It's not a big deal. I mean, honestly, it's not a big deal because I'm here. So, I mean, I'll defer to you, Mr. President, but I think moving forward, if that is the rule, then kind of want to make it happen.
No, Councilor Hurst is actually correct. So Rule 54 states that all remaining items would be continued to the next regularly scheduled meeting, and I believe that we previously, our practice has been to hear that item first. So without objection, I'll ask that the clerk call item 32.
Item 32 is a resolution for the new Roderick Ireland Hampden County Hall of Justice.
Councilor Hurst.
I was going to say I wasn't prepared, Councilor Letterman, for that end result. But I will, give me 1 second. Okay. So I'll briefly read the resolution. Actually, the first component of the resolution was already taken care of as a result of the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance, saying that they and the governor are going to have a new courthouse. The second portion of the resolution, which focuses on where that particular courthouse will be, is the most important as it relates to this resolution. And, the hope is that that particular courthouse will be located in Springfield. So with your indulgence, Mr. President, I will read the resolution, and then we can certainly hear from other councilors, as I won't say much as it relates to the resolution outside of what is in the content. So new Roderick Island Hampden County Hall of Justice, whereas the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance recently conducted a relocation assessment of potential sites to replace the Roderick Island Hampden County Hall of Justice in the city of Springfield, whereas DCAM will also be conducting a separate study focused on the renovation needs of the courthouse to determine whether renovation or replacement is more fiscally responsible, which they've already decided that replacement is more fiscally responsible, whereas it is well known that the residents of Hampden County who have already suffered and continue to suffer health and safety risks by working in the facility and frequenting it to conduct business on a daily basis deserve a new courthouse, and whereas the renovation of the existing courthouse is a patchwork approach that will potentially require investing well over $100 million of taxpayer money that could be better spent on a new modernized courthouse, thereby guaranteeing the elimination of health and safety risks to occupants. The replacement of a new courthouse will add vibrancy to the area and play an important role as a generator of economic activity. And whereas the influx of people from court staff, attorneys, litigants, and those conducting business who will frequent our city daily will help our local economy immensely. The daytime patronage of restaurants and retail establishments will increase activity, and whatever area of Springfield the courthouse is located, and serve as an engine, hopefully spurring other economic development opportunities. And whereas the replacement of the courthouse will create thousands of much needed jobs, construction jobs that will benefit the residents and businesses, adding millions in revenue to the Springfield economy. Whereas 3 of the 13 sites that DCAM has reviewed for potential relocation are not in the city of Springfield. whereas losing the Roderick Island Courthouse to a surrounding city or suburb will prove catastrophic to the revitalization of our city and region for that matter. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council hereby formally supports the Roderick Island Hampden County Hall of Justice being replaced and a new courthouse be located in the city of Springfield. So like I said earlier, the Roderick Island Courthouse is going to be replaced in accordance with DCAM and the governor's office, which is great news. But for us, the second part of that is ensuring that the courthouse stays here in the city of Springfield, where we know it has much value and certainly will add to the revitalization of downtown. So with that being said, Mr. President, I'm hopeful that my colleagues will support this. And, if we were able to approve it that night, we certainly, we would have done it prior to them saying that they were going to come out and give us a new courthouse. But neither here nor there, I believe that the resolution ultimately is going to do what it is that I think we all wanted to do, which is to make sure that we have, one, a new courthouse, and two, that new courthouse is located here in the city of Springfield. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Is there any discussion amongst the council? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll without objection.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I couldn't raise my hand enough time, but I just want to be added to the resolution. Thank you.
Certainly, Councilor Whitfield. Do any further councilors wish to be added that have not already been added prior to the call of the roll?
I'd like to be added.
Please add Councilor Davila, Councilor Walsh, and Councilor Govan,
Councilor Perez, please.
and Councilor
Thank you.
Perez, and Councilor Click Bruce. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll, and if the audience could please silence your mobile devices.
On approving the resolution, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Absent, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 1.
Item 1 is the May Revenue versus Expenditure Report.
Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight I'm presenting the May Revenue versus Expenditure Report. It represents the first 11 months of the fiscal year. Our revenue is currently $797 million, or 93% of budget. Our year-to-date expenditures are $725 million, or 85% of budget.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Are there any questions for the comptroller relative to the report? Seeing no questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the report.
On accepting the report, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Absent, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan. Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The report is approved. Madam Clerk, item 2 is on for first reading and automatic referral to the Planning Board. Can you please read the item?
It is for a zone change for 710 Liberty Street. Residence B to Commercial P / Business. Residence B / Commercial P to Business A.
Item shall be considered read and referred. Madam Clerk, please call the petitions, beginning with item 3.
Item 3 is Comcast for Spring Street.
Councilor Edwards?
Forth a motion to take items 3 through 10 together as one.
Councilor Edwards made a motion to take the petitions together. Is there a second? Motion was seconded by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the motion to take 3 through 10, the petitions together? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to authorize taking items 3 through 10 at once.
On combining the orders, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Items 3 through 10 will be taken together. On item 3, Mr. Signoli.
Good evening, Councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director. The items before you on petitions, there are 8 items. One of them is Comcast. The other 7 are Eversource Electric. Item number 3, Comcast wishes to install 146 feet of 4-inch PVC, on Spring Street from Frost Street to the rear of the data center that is on Elliott Street. On Belmont Avenue, it is a new handhole, and 14 feet of 4-inch conduit in the area of Woodside Terrace. The Eversource petition for Sumner Avenue is for the installation of a new handhole and 55 feet of 4-inch conduit at Sumner Avenue and Ferglade Street. The petition for 270 Maple is 1 handhole and 25 feet of 4-inch conduit in the area of 270 Maple Street. On Pine Street at its intersection with Cedar Street is 1 handhole and 37 feet of conduit. Vinton Street is at the intersection of Vinton and Liberty, 2 handholes and 61 feet of conduit. It's on the lower section of Liberty Street. And the Norfolk Street is, the relocation of a utility pole due to a new construction of a home and driveway. And on Haywood Street, near its intersection with Warwick, is the installation of a new handhole and 55 feet of conduit to service. As I mentioned, the first one is Comcast. All the other 7 are Eversource Electric.
Thank you, Director Signoli. Are there any questions for the director or for Comcast or Eversource, who I do believe have representatives here from the council on items 3 through 10?
Mr. President.
Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Chris. Quick question. Just explain to us, what is a handhold?
It's basically a small manhole that allows them to access.
Oh, a man. Okay.
Yeah, it's a small manhole.
A manhole. Okay.
Yeah.
You were calling it a handhold.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. And how are we addressing traffic on Sumner Avenue?
Excuse me?
How are we going to be addressing traffic on Sumner Avenue?
Let me call one on Sumner Ave.
We're going to be hiring officers, of course, and because that area there is a pretty busy
It is just.
area.
It's just off the curb line. It's almost in the center line of the roadway. It's 23 feet off the edge and 32 feet of line. That's probably something that's going to take them a day, maybe 2 to do in the street, yes.
How many officers are going to be, do you know? How many officers does that take?
I'm sorry,
How many officers does that detail take? 1 or 2?
probably 2, because they will need to control it in both directions, possibly.
Right. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions for the director or the representatives prior to our vote on items 3 through 10? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of petitions 3 through 10.
On approval of the petitions, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown? Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The petitions are approved.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Director. Madam Clerk, please call item 11.
Item 11 is for State 911 Support and Incentive Grant, no match required in the amount of $992,816.
Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just wondering if we could take items 17, 18, and 27 out of order for approval, since they are under the $50,000 threshold.
Councilor Whitfield has requested to take items 17, 18, and 27 out of order. Is there any objection? Without objection, Madam Clerk, please call item 17.
Item 17 is expanding COVID-19 vaccination grant, award increase, no match required in the amount of $27,500.
And you can also call item 18 as it's under.
Item 18 is the FY24 Shine Grant, no match required in the amount of $14,371. And item 27 is the Springfield City Library donation for $120.
So we can take 17 and 18 together as they're under $50,000 unless there are any questions from members of the council. Seeing no questions on items 17 and 18, and Commissioner Colton Harris is here. Commissioner, did you wish to speak to either of these items?
No, both grants are important to our work, and I appreciate the support of the council.
Thank you, Commissioner. Once again, are there any questions on the grants, items 17 or 18? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of both grants, 17 and 18.
On accepting the grants, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Both grants are accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 27.
Item 27 is Springfield Library, City Library donation in the amount of $120.
Commissioner?
This is a donation. We are really happy when our residents step up and donate money. This is to purchase materials for the libraries. Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions relative to the donation? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the donation.
On accepting the donation, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The donation is accepted. Commissioner, please let the donors know they have the gratitude of the Springfield City Council.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor President.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call item 11.
Item 11 is the State 911 Support and Incentive Grant, no match required, in the amount of $992,816.
Is there anyone here to speak to this grant?
Yes, Rebecca Ocasio with Emergency Communications.
Ms. Ocasio, the floor is yours.
This is the first of two State 911 funded grants that we have. Support and Incentive Grant offsets the wages for our team members for the year. It's very important, a crucial part of our budget to be able to fund their wages, so the support of the council is appreciated.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the grant? Seeing no questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 12.
Item 12 is the Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program, no match required, in the amount of $367,474.
Lieutenant, please state your name for the record.
Good evening, Council. Lieutenant Ronald Shin with the Metro Division of the Springfield Police Department.
The floor is yours.
So tonight I'm presenting the co-response grant for $367,474. This is a renewal of last year's grant. Last year's grant was completed with a third of the year of the fiscal year left due to the process of negotiating the terms of the agreement. This will be for the full year, for the full amount of $367,000. It'll cover the cost of 3 department or behavioral health network co-clinicians and a supervisor to provide mental health outreach and co-response from mental health professionals.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Are there questions relative to the grant from members of the council? Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple quick questions. Was there any opportunity in this particular grant when we were applying to include other mental health agencies outside of BHN that may be more culturally competent than BHN?
The way it's set up is Department of Mental Health has different areas for different various mental health providers. The Springfield area catchment is for Behavioral Health Network. There are others that are in different communities, and the Department of Mental Health sort of handles where they administer their regions. I can look into it further. There may be a possibility of that, but I believe Behavioral Health Network is one that we have to work with.
Yeah, I would definitely like to know a little bit more about that, because I know there are other mental health agencies, and I know that BHN at times contracts with more culturally competent providers, and especially when we're dealing with mental health here in the city of Springfield, you think about the makeup of the individuals that are needing mental health. It would seem to me that we ought to have included another mental health agency that maybe focuses and specializes on those individuals of color. I know, you have like the Latino Counseling Services, and also you have the African Diaspora Mental Health Association, who BHN at times contracts with, and it just seems to me that it might make sense to start to write these agencies into the grant to the extent possible. So I guess that's my first question. If you could just take a look at that, or first statement or comment, to see whether the next time that could happen, and if it can happen, it seems to me to make sense that it should happen. The number of clinicians, 3. What does that cover exactly?
So they're full-time clinicians, and we stagger them, or the BHN network staggers them over the the time periods most needed for clinicians during the course of the week. So we'll have a clinician working Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. We'll have an overlap between 12 noon and 8 p.m. So they'll cover the busy times in the early afternoon and early evening. And then we have a clinician that comes on 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning. So those are the times. And we got approved for 3 clinicians this year. And looking at the increase in the past from May till June, the amount of calls has gone up significantly. In May, it rose almost double the amount of calls. The anticipation is once we get our stats for the whole year, that we can justify hiring more clinicians.
Okay, meaning that the department can justify hiring more clinicians, or the city can
Just
justify hiring?
the amount of
calls,
the call volume for mental health issues, I think would justify putting in the application requesting more, and it would be up to the Department of Mental Health whether they'd approve it or not.
Okay, so we didn't do that this time around. What about the weekends? I didn't hear you say anything about having these individuals available for the weekends. Is that something that you all are thinking about, or did I miss something?
The 12 to 8 clinician works Tuesday through Saturdays, and then the 8 to 4 a.m. clinician works Sunday through Thursday. So there is weekend coverage. With only 3 clinicians, once again, it's something that we would like to improve with the gaps in coverage if we were to justify increasing the amount of clinicians for the next grant.
Okay, and then my last question, we had a speaker during public speak out, Reverend Stokes, who highlighted the fact that, you know, BHN might not necessarily be living up to the standard that it ought to be living up to. And he certainly highlights one of the more significant incidents where it seems as though they may have fallen short of that standard that ultimately resulted in the loss of a life. And so I guess, you know, my question to you is, who is holding BHN accountable, and what role do you all play in that?
So I am would be considered the co-response coordinator. So the BHN clinicians, they operate out of the Metro Division. I'm the supervisor of the Metro Division. They report there, they respond to calls, I monitor the calls. If there are any issues that need to be dealt with from a supervisory standpoint, I'm the point of contact. And I just started this role approximately a year ago. So once again, the co-clinicians, having them full-time, recently started, like I said, back in March is when we started with the dedicated co-response. They were there prior under their own, under a different program that wasn't funded by the Department of Mental Health. It was just a program that was started by Lieutenant Elliott to explore having co-response clinicians. So now it's being paid for, and like I said, we'd like to get more clinicians in here. I think there's a need for it, and I think the stats will show that as we go throughout the rest of the year, we'll be able to justify asking for more.
Do you have a mental health background since you oversee this program?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the question.
I said, do you have a mental health background?
35 years, Springfield Police Department.
Okay. Okay, all right, just something we should think about. You know, I mean, I guess it begs the question as to, you know, how might you know if you're the one that is holding them accountable, whether they're actually being effective in what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And so, you know, it probably is something that we ought to think about and look into if at all possible. And maybe it's not you all, you know, you are like, you know, our teachers in the public school system. And, you know, we ask you all to do a little bit of everything, and sometimes that's just not reasonable and asking for too much. So certainly something we ought to think about moving forward.
Counselor, I just will point this out. The BHN has hired a supervisor, a clinician supervisor. My fellow academy mate, William Witherspoon, is their direct supervisor and police liaison. So he brings 35 years of law enforcement experience and a professional clinician. He attained his degree, and he also supervises in that capacity. So yes, there is a supervisor that has a liaison with the police department, and I'm very familiar with him.
And is that different from last year? Did they have something similar last year or no?
He's a recent addition, possibly I think in the last 6 months.
Okay, all right, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll go to Councilor Whitfield, and then Councilor Diablo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that was a great answer when you said 35 years in the police department. You will definitely have some experience in that role, so that was a great answer. But my question is, I didn't quite understand what you said about the list that the Department of Mental Health has and the correlation with BHN.
It's from my understanding, and I could be wrong, I don't want to speak out of school, but there's different areas of the state that certain crisis centers operate out of. And they'll assign, they call them catchment areas. And BHN is in the Springfield catchment areas. And they do change them from time to time, depending on what the needs of the area are and who can provide the needs. It's my understanding that BHN is in our catchment area, and it makes sense for us to operate through them. Whether that we're obligated to operate through them or not is a question that we'll find out, and I will get the council the answer on that.
Okay, thank you. My next question is for Councilor Govan, if I may, Mr. President. I understand that you also have your own mental health service organization, and I wanted to know if you knew anything about the catchment area. Are you in the catchment area? Are there any other organizations that you're familiar with in the catchment area? Because I definitely know that you do good work and you're definitely a culturally competent. I know it would be a conflict of interest for you, but I'm just using you as an example of another provider that would be culturally competent to service our community.
If I may, Mr. President, so I think BHN has a contract with the department to provide their services, and the catchment area is pretty huge. They go out to Westfield, past Westfield to the boondocks out there. I remember having to go out there when I worked for BHN. And this contract with the police department, I think, has been recent, although BHN has historically worked with the police to provide crisis clinicians. It sounds like this is more formalized. So I would love, I love the question that Councilor Hurst asked about the culturally competent services. I know that BHN tries and makes an effort to hire culturally competent clinicians, but that's not always the case. And I think if we target or have an agency that provides strictly culturally competent services by clinicians who look like our population, I think that would be a lot better. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I agree with Councilor Hurst and with your request to have culturally competent organizations provide this service. And again, I'm not sure if the contract is strictly with BHN, but I think we do have room for expansion because BHN is also overwhelmed with the number of calls that they get, not just from the police department, but they have a room of clinicians that go out on crisis calls that are not related to the police department. So I think adding another agency in to provide these services would be very helpful. Thank you, Councilor Whitfield and Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. So I too want to echo what Councilor Govan and Councilor Hurst said, that there's many other organizations that we should probably look into that have come forward wanting to work with the Springfield Police Department that have not been interviewed or sat down with, even spoken to about culturally competent services. You know, I have 4 kids in foster care, and when DCF calls me, I'm like, I'm not just gonna go with whoever you assign. I wanna know, because they're my kinship, they're my nieces and nephews. I'm not gonna go with any therapist that you want to refer them to. I need to know some background information. And so I don't know what type of background information, or if any, that you get prior to these clinicians being assigned, Lieutenant Sheehan?
So the clinicians respond to an on-call basis. So if there's a crisis call that goes out, whoever the clinician on staff at the time responds. They're servicing the entire community and the citizens of Springfield. The main thing is to do an immediate triage of the individuals that they respond to, make sure that they're stabilized. And the main goal of these clinicians at this point in time is it's jail diversion. It's to try to keep them out of the criminal justice system and try and keep them out of the hospital services, emergency rooms. So in doing so, they can make the determination as licensed clinicians that this person doesn't need to go to the ER right now. They can seek professional mental help through the services of BHN, and they'll set them up with follow-up, and they'll go that route. And it's been successful. They've prevented a lot of people from being arrested. They've prevented a lot of people from getting stuck in the emergency room route, which if it's not the best place you want to go if you're having these issues, because the follow-up on it is not necessarily the best. So follow-up is the key, diverting them, getting them away from the jail system, the criminal justice system, and preventing overload at the hospitals.
Thank you, Lieutenant. My final comment is you gave great numbers and great stats about some of the individuals that did divert going to jail and are getting the help that they need. So I just wanted to say job well done. This is not a dig at BHN by any means. I just think that the department and the administration need to be open to adding more resources because more is better in this particular situation. So I'm glad that you are open also to adding, but we should also do our research and see what else is out there, you know, more culturally competent, because if ADMA is on call or Councilor Govan Service is on call, we know who's always going to go out because that's who their staff is. And they will go out to some folks that look like them, and people are more likely to respond better to those that they can relate to. So I just wanted to say it's not a dig at the department or BHN, just like kind of like opening our horizon and maybe adding some other individuals or organizations or services.
And just so you're aware, that of the 3 clinicians, 2 of the clinicians are people of color. So it's very well represented. Your concerns are, I think, the concerns have been met through BHN, and I think that demonstrates it right there.
Well, it's meant for you all, but not meant for the community. Based on the example that was given through the public speak out testimony, something was missed. There was a gap there, and some folks in the community feel that. So we are here to represent the community, and so we are supposed to bring this information forward. So while it may have been met based on the numbers, we don't really know the true details behind the service that was provided. So number-wise, it looks great. It looks great on paper, but we need to know, was the needs really met through this transaction or through the service that was provided through BHN? And so I think that that's important to note. And I just really thank you for your time and your diligence with writing this grant and getting it approved. Thank you.
Yes, and for
Lieutenant.
follow-up on that,
Lieutenant.
maybe there could be some sort
Lieutenant.
of survey that could be done through BHN.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. We're going to go to Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Lieutenant, for being here today. Before I ask you some basic questions, Lieutenant, Mr. President, let me just say that this program is a program that should be continued to be fostered. It's a program that should continue to be reevaluated, to be enhanced, because it's really a great program. And it's a program that, as the Lieutenant just kindly pointed out, Mr. President, it's a program that allows people to not only stay out of jail, but it also free up resources. It frees up the hospitals, it frees up the police officers, the ambulances, and most importantly, it keeps the resident at home or a step down from care. So it's a win-win for everybody. Now, Lieutenant, with regards to the grant, who's providing this grant?
The Department of Mental Health, and it's managed by the Springfield Police Department. So the funds will be granted to the police department, and then we would pay Behavioral Health Network. We reimburse them for the cost of the clinicians.
Now, Lieutenant, this $367,000, is that one-year contract?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Lieutenant, you said there was 3 clinicians, right?
3 clinicians and a supervisor, yes.
So it's 4, okay. I believe last year I asked some question, and I'm hoping it has changed, but those are dedicated for Springfield?
They are dedicated, yes. So prior to this, BHN voluntarily provided their own clinicians, and it was coming at a loss to for their business because they weren't able to tend to other things. They were focused on Springfield. However, it wasn't a good business model. They were losing money. The Department of Mental Health is offering the grant, and we wrote it up.
Right. Lieutenant, you say that BHM might be hiring, will be hiring more clinicians in the future.
We hope.
We hope.
But it all depends on whether the numbers that we generate throughout this next year would justify the Department of Mental Health saying, yes, it looks like you have the need for more clinicians.
Right.
We will grant you 2 more clinicians.
But do you have a timeline for that, sir?
That'll be next July would be the next grant application.
So if we do hire more people, more clinicians, it wouldn't be until next year?
It would be next year that they would hire more.
Okay.
However, the BHN is offered to provide clinicians for support if needed.
Right. Lieutenant, I will express the same thing I expressed last time. I'm a supporter of this program. I've seen it work myself. As I said before, I'm a paramedic here in the city, and I've seen the program in action itself. It's a great thing. However, I do think that, one, we need more people, and it's just, you just mentioned. I'm very concerned with the holiday season. Very concerned, as you and I know, those numbers, mental health crisis double almost during the holiday season, so I'm concerned with that. Regarding the cultural competency, I do think that there's room for that discussion, but I think the model as we have it now is working. I do think, Mr. President, that the city should invest more, because this is a changing city, of course. And so, but as far as I'm concerned, Lieutenant, you guys are doing a great job, and I thank you for it, and I thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Officer, for your testimony tonight. I think you can tell from the questions that are being asked that the mental health is a real concern of the Springfield City Council. I know our colleague, Councilor Govan, has started her own committee for mental health and mental health issues. And I'm curious to know, with this program, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of the clinicians? Is there some way of knowing how successful they are?
Yeah, so what the goal is, like I said, was to do diversions and diversions from emergency rooms. So between March, April, and May of this year, we have the previous figures on that, there was a total of 244 calls. And March there was 68, April 65, and as I said before, in May there was 111 calls, almost double. So there's an increase as summertime goes along and things are picking up. Out of those calls, there was 73 ER diversions, so that 73 times that instead of the officer calling for an ambulance because the person was having a mental health crisis, the clinician was able to respond and provide the follow-up services without going to the hospital. There were also 13 arrest diversions where there may have been a crime committed, but it wasn't of a serious enough nature that justified placing them under arrest and bringing them to the department. When there was the compromise is these seek mental health help through the behavioral health network, and they follow up with the clinicians. So that's a successful diversion. A lot of times there are crimes that are committed that, you know, in the past they would go to jail, and because you knew something was going to happen if you didn't tend to the matter at the time, whether it be a home life issue, domestic related, or something. But if we can follow it up with diversion, that's the preferred choice.
Is there any information about the age of the people that you're helping? Because I think all of us are concerned about mental health resources for young people.
We don't have any information on that, but that should be a data point that should be collected. Demographics as to where most of the calls are coming from. So there's a lot of things that still need to be worked on. We're getting guidance from the Department of Mental Health as far as what they're requiring for statistics. Some of our capabilities with our computer systems don't allow us to capture a lot of this, and a lot of time for the clinicians, they will gather the information as their basic information on the individuals, but it hasn't been sorted out. But I think if we have it in a database somewhere, that they have analysts at BHN that could probably sort out that information.
No, I think it's a wonderful addition, and the idea of this diversion, because those of us that are familiar with mental health or people that have those issues know that this help is very necessary. So good luck with your program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank you, Lieutenant, for your service. I know you've been around for a long time. You were around with my dad, Captain Brown, so I definitely want to thank you for all your service. I know when it comes to things like this, you're going from stats and the actual use being doubled. I know next time we're looking probably to be more aggressive as far as funding when we're petitioning, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We in our application for the last year, we put in for 5 clinicians. As I said, it took a while to hammer out the details of that contract. We almost took 3/4 of the year to get it done, and we finally submitted it, and the Department of Mental Health provided 3 clinicians. If we had gotten, if it had been approved right off the bat and we ironed out things right away and we had a year's worth of data going into this year, it might have been a completely different story. But there's back and forth negotiations that took place to try and get the contract or the MOU together, so the Department of Mental Health was satisfied and the city was satisfied, or the police department, with how we were going to run the co-response program. So I anticipate next year that we're going to have a lot more stats, and we'll be able to convince them that there's greater need for more clinicians.
And when you actually use the stats, if you were able to use some of these, where some of my colleagues had concerns with the different organizations that might service the Black and brown community, it does give a feather in your cap, and you can actually now submit for more funding when it comes to the state, because there are pockets of funding that does deal with it. Another thing, because it seems like such a small number, a lot of the police officers themselves, they do suffer from mental illnesses and depression. Is there anything, any funding that's helping any of the police officers and cadets?
So we have CIT training that BHN was doing. They're not going to be contracted. The Department of Mental Health is trying to get a CIT training put into the departments and have the departments actually run them. But the training that's provided by the officers is it's Crisis Intervention Team Training, CIT. They provide a component of that is dedicated to officer wellness. And so the officers that have gone through this do receive wellness training, and it is addressed in that training. The Springfield Police Department Academy staff also provides officer wellness and in-service training through their training program and to the cadets coming on in the academy.
Okay, and is that a requirement, or?
I'm not sure if it's a requirement now through the new state standards. I would assume that there probably is some component that they have to touch upon, but I can't speak to that for sure. But I do know that they do have wellness counseling training.
Okay, and I just, I really do emphasize a lot of that because, I always say my superhero wear badges, not capes. I know there's a lot of mental issues. We've had incidents. I do know that police officers also are human, and they also need the mental health support. So, I would always want to, I support you guys 100%. I think we should also concentrate on the mental well-being of the people who are protecting and serving us also. And I, once again, want to thank you for your service and your dedication. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Counselor Brown. Is there any further discussion amongst the council prior to our vote on acceptance of the grant? Seeing no further questions without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call item 13.
Item 13 is for a COVID-19 case investigation and contact tracing, no match required, in the amount of $300,000.
Commissioner Colton Harris.
Good evening, councilors. This grant is from the State Department of Public Health, it enables us to continue our work around COVID-19 and case investigation, which is contact tracing. The State Department of Public Health has also broadened the scope on this grant, which allows us to follow up on other infectious diseases, communicable diseases. And so it's broader than just COVID, and we are grateful to have it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions for the Commissioner prior to our vote? Seeing no further questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 14.
Item 14 is for State 911 Training Grant, no match required, in the amount of $266,225.16.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item?
Yes, Rebecca Ocasio, Emergency Communications.
Floor is yours.
Councillors, this is our second of two grants provided by the State 911 Department in the amount of $266,225.16. This funds the training of new dispatchers after hire so that they're state compliant, but also funds 32 hours of continuing credits for each and every one of our dispatchers, to include leadership and per diems, to ensure that everybody is fully trained in any areas of concern, that we're able to remediate through training, and that we're able to fulfill the new state requirement to attend mental health training for all the dispatchers.
Thank you. Are there any questions prior to our vote on acceptance of the grant? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Ms. Ocasio. Thank you for being here. Quick question. How many new dispatchers are we getting?
How many new dispatchers? We're currently going to be hiring 6. We're actually interviewing this week, so there'll be 6 that will be starting in August.
6 new ones, okay. And the mental health training that you're talking about, is that mental health training for how to handle a call or for themselves?
It's actually a fairly broad requirement. It's a new requirement from the State Department that just states that they need to have 2 hours, a minimum of 2 hours per year, training under the subject of mental health. So we have the ability to use those training hours as we see fit.
Right, but those 2 hours or 20 hours is going to be like to how to access a call for the need of a mental health crisis?
It certainly could be, yes. It could be working with BHN or another agency in the area in regards to better helping 911 callers, or we could utilize those training hours to help dispatchers coping with the vicarious trauma that they suffer through 911.
Right, excellent, excellent. Yeah, because we know 911 call taking, it's extremely stressful itself. I couldn't do it, but I'd be happy to support this, Ms. Ocasio, and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions? Seeing no further questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 15.
Item 15 is a community mitigation grant, no match required, in the amount of $135,000.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Lieutenant?
For the MGM, or the
Correct.
Mass Gaming Commission?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, my hearing is not the best.
Lieutenant,
So
just state your name again for the record.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Ronald Sheehan with Metro Division, Springfield Police Department. I'm here making presentation for community mitigation grant through the Massachusetts Gaming Commission for the amount of $135,200. The purpose of the grant program through the Community Mitigation Fund is to help local entities offset impact costs related to construction and operation of the gaming establishment in Springfield, the MGM Casino. Since 2015, the Mass Gaming Commission has issued approximately $23 million in funding to advance needs in transportation, community planning, workforce development, and public safety for municipalities and government entities located within the vicinity of the Massachusetts casinos. The grant that was applied for this year addresses several issues. One of the issues was a aging cruiser, which has been marked for replacement for the cost of $53,800. That was a cruiser that was 2008 is the age of the cruiser, so it's reached its lifespan. Barricades to assist in traffic control for high traffic events such as the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement, 4th of July fireworks, and other events that require a little bit extra as far as pedestrian control and traffic control to prevent pedestrian accidents and traffic accidents. That is 58-foot bicycle rack barriers to the cost of $4,747. There's also, when we had the meeting with the Gaming Commission, they stressed training, and they urged us to put in for training. One of the issues that is occurring in the downtown area with the local establishments and the hotels and such is the uptick in sexual assaults in the nightclubs, the use of date rape drugs and such, especially at the casino. There was an incident just last night where a woman was accosted sexually while she was in the casino. So we applied for sexual assault training for 5 officers, and that was approved for back funding, so the department doesn't have to worry about the cost of paying for officers to cover the shifts, and that's in the tune of total of $12,009. There was also a Metro drone that was applied for. Sergeant Werbicki wrote that portion of it up. He was had concerns that we don't have very good coverage down at the riverbanks. If we were to search for somebody, or if somebody were to attempt suicide and go in the river, this drone would have infrared capabilities and heat sensors, assist in locating individuals that may have jumped in the water, or any individuals that may be down at the riverbank area. Also assist in traffic control and identification of issues in traffic, or scouting areas prior to such events, such as the Ironman triathlon that occurred a couple weeks ago. They could put that up and identify any areas of concern without expending a lot of resources to do so. And finally, there's $50,000 that was awarded for several specialized details, including anti-John stings. So we're going to be able to provide, in addition to the stings that are going on through the firearms unit, we're going to be able to supplement with 2 more operations to go out and attempt to put a damper on some of the prostitution activity that's occurring in the downtown area. We also have traffic details that during the closure of the Civic Center parking lot, there became a severe problem with traffic flowing into the downtown area after major events, and individuals being stuck in the casino parking lot for hours on end, up to 4 hours at a time. I know it was brought to the attention of the mayor's office. The city of Springfield has been providing overtime to assist in directing the traffic and easing the flow of traffic down there. The city's paid that cost out of pocket. This will alleviate some of that and allow for 2 overtime officers per event, and we expect up to 37 events to be occurring in the city that would require the additional traffic support. So this alleviates some of the burden on the city. And then finally, homeless outreach. We previously had, through the Department of Mental Health, was a project called Project Hope, in which officers teamed up with BHN clinicians, and they would go out and they would do outreach with the homeless community throughout the city and offer services that might be available to them, identify any individuals that may have some mental health issues that could be addressed through the clinicians and provide services to them as best possible. And Director Carlton previously brought up the COVID-19. They were looking to get the word out about the shots, and this is something that we would be able to assist with in getting that information to that community, that there's COVID vaccines that are available to them. So that's an example of what we do. And we take that information and we provide it to our hub and core coordinator, who Suhaili Arsi, who in turn will push out the information to the individuals that we interact with, to all the community services that are available out there, see if there's any help that we can direct towards them. So it's a follow-up procedure that goes with that. And we felt that that program was very good. The Department of Mental Health didn't fund it again this year, but we felt it was a good enough program to try and get it through other means, and we're doing that through the mitigation funding.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Are there any questions for the Lieutenant on the grant prior to our vote? Seeing no further questions from the council, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted.
Thank you very much, councilors. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Stay safe. Madam Clerk, please call item 16.
Item 16 is an FY24 local consumer aid grant, no match required, in the amount of $125,000.
Director Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is a renewal grant with an increase to $125,000 for a local consumer program serving Hamden County and parts of Worcester County as well. The indispensable program has a stellar reputation for its effective services and visibility throughout. It's serving communities primarily in the city of Springfield. We offer education and consumer advocacy to help consumers resolve complaints, and those complaints are, the majority of them are assigned to us through the Attorney General's office.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and can you just state your name for the record?
Of course, Milagros Johnson, I'm the director of the office.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Johnson prior to our vote on acceptance of her grant? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on accepting the grant.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the grant is accepted.
Thank you, Mr. President and Council.
Thank you, Director. Madam Clerk, please call item 19.
Item 19 is a bond authorization for various municipal purposes in the amount of $10 million.
Director Sullivan.
Good evening, councilors. I believe Lindsay Hackett is on the line as well on this issue. We have 3 critical projects in the Park Department that we need your assistance with. First is Sea Arena. The building was built in the mid-1970s, and it's time to replace the outdated air handling units, which are roughly 25 years old. The cooling towers need to be replaced, and we would like to put new doors and fire alarm upgrades throughout the facility at about $4.5 million. The golf course clubhouses need improvements as well. The roofs are over 25 years old. Veterans is currently leaking, and they both need mechanical upgrades at about $3 million, $1.5 million per course. And then the carriage house That roof is 133 years old. It's the original roof to that facility. It's slate. We've done a great job managing it all these years, but it's time for a new roof. And then the original chimneys need to be rebuilt as well. And again, they're 130 years old, and that cost us that $2.5 million. Both the rink is been bid through an ESCO contract. Siemens gave us these cost estimates. Capital Asset has completed architectural reviews at the carriage house, and as well as they have had our vendors out for reviewing the roof and the mechanical system. So we feel these are very good estimates, and they have been reviewed by competent architects or engineers related to the fields that are required for these upgrades.
Thank you, Director Sullivan. Are there any questions for the Director or the Deputy CAFO? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Patrick. Good
evening.
to see you. With regards to the carriage house, I didn't realize that the roof was the original roof, 123 years old, but it lasted a pretty long time. So, do we need? Is there any concern, or the first thing that went to my mind is like the historical aspect of the roof? It's going to be in line with the historical.
Yeah, we always work with the local historical commission whenever we do an historical structure like that in the park.
So you went, or you will be going?
We will be.
We will be. Okay.
Yeah, once we have the final plans and know exactly all the materials, then we'll present to the historical commission. We usually bring them out in as an advisement basis.
Very well. Thank you, Patrick.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Brown.
I want to thank you, Pat, for all the work you've done in my area and all the work you continue to do, especially on the state level and city level. You really do pay attention to the area. I was just curious as far as the actual projects themselves. Are there the contracting portions? Are there already contractors and individuals that already have acquired the bids to be able to perform?
Right. So the golf course work and the carriage house work would still need to be bid. When we bid all the ESSER work on the school department side, we included the municipal side for this very reason, for it's called ESCO contract, energy saving contract. So Siemens has already been bid to do that work.
Because I just asked because I do know of some minority contractors who would be interested in possibly bidding. I know a lot of times. I don't know why they don't know, but I just want to know, would they be able to still?
Sure, and it's a public bidding process, and we would be happy to, we have a pre-bid conference usually about the project, so we will alert you to that pre-bid conference, and you can invite those vendors to that pre-bid meeting. And those are advertised as well to the general public.
And that happens around when, you think?
Excuse me, Counselor?
Just guesstimating how much, like how long, when is that?
I would think it'll be next spring because the golf course and the carriage house still need to go to final design.
And say they wanted to still reach out before that, would they be able to like reach out to someone?
My door is always open to meet with anyone that's doing business in the city of Springfield, and that's just our policy at the park department and facilities.
Okay, I think once again, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Are there any further questions on item 19? Seeing no further questions, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on authorization of the bond. 2/3 majority vote is required.
On authorizing the bond, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Absent, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The bond is authorized. Madam Clerk, please call item 20.
Item 20 is another bond authorization for Court Square improvements in the amount of $6 million.
Director Signoli.
Good evening, councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director. The Court Square project went out to bid earlier this year. The project came in over budget. It was repackaged and went out to bid. Bids were opened a few weeks ago. The low bidder is Mountain View Landscaping at $6.7 million. We are looking for $6 million worth of bond work. We also have $1.5 million available to us from the Gaming Commission that was awarded last year for the project. So I have $6.7 million for the contractor. I also have about $200,000 for the design team for construction administration services. Excuse me, during our Finance Committee meeting, I believe President Letterman, you asked about providing a plan prior to tonight's meeting and after the meeting today. I forwarded to all the councilors an illustrative site plan of what Court Square will look like. When we repackaged the project, we basically took out work that was going to be in Main Street and in Court Street. The work in Court Square will include all new sidewalks, all new, I'm going to use the word pavement, however, it is all a mix of brick, block, throughout the entire area there, including a new walkway out from the area of Court Square to State Street adjacent to the juvenile court building. New lighting, new ground plantings, new irrigation, and new electrical service throughout the entire park as well.
Thank you, Director Signoli. Are there questions for the Director relative to item 20?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilor Allen.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't seem to get Zoom exactly right here.
That is no problem,
Chris.
Councilor Allen. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Chris, for that information. I'm just wondering, has this been on the docket for a while, this particular upgrade to Court Square, and is it now being brought forward because of the hotel or the the condos or apartments being almost done? Could you give a little timing on when that construction will be done and when this will take place?
Correct. Our construction is actually scheduled to start the first week of August. We met with the contractor last week. The work is being proposed kind of in conjunction with 3 or 4 major projects. Number 1 was the casino. Number 2 is associated with the reworking of the Civic Center parking garage because work will be done on Bruce Landon Way as well. So the intersection will have some work. As I mentioned, the work that we kind of pulled out on Main Street, that's going to be handled through our SS4A grant with regard to some crosswalks there through the middle area. We are also at the same time through a Gaming Commission grant doing East and West Columbus Avenue. There is also a project on the books which we are just starting the design on for Riverfront Park Phase 3, which is the land side of the project, the land side of the park, excuse me, to make the existing underpass ADA compliant. And then lastly is 1331 Elm, where basically the middle of all those projects was Court Square. So the timing of it was to get all that work done. Design started on it about 1.5 years ago. So we are ready to start construction this summer. Construction will be completed middle of next year as well.
And thank you. That's good info. And when is 1331 Elm supposed to be done and available for occupancy?
I think they're scheduling occupancy for November of this year. It's either late October, early November. I know they've been advertising units. I'm sorry, Council. They've been advertising units, and I think they are talking about late October, early November.
So will the timing of this project that you're putting in front of us tonight for this bond, will that work won't be done till the middle of next year? So people will be in theoretically living there already before this project is completed?
Yeah, a majority of their parking and access is actually through the rear of the facility, off of State Street. And at the same time, we're coordinating with wind companies just on the schedule to get as much of the work done in the area of the building so that we can get out of the way and they can have access to the front of that. So we've coordinated that as part of our bid.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Chris. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Are there any further questions for the director prior to our vote on item 20? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the bond.
On approving the bond, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Absent, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The bond is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 21.
Item 21 is a bond authorization for DPW vehicles in the amount of $5 million.
Director Signoli.
Good evening, councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director. The bond before you tonight is for $5 million. We are proposing roughly $2.2 million or so for the solid waste division and $2.8 million for the general fund side. On the solid waste side, just to go backwards a little bit, in late 2021, we put together a 5-year plan for vehicle purchases. We had not been purchasing vehicles for a number of years. Some of you may remember last year in January, we did a bond for $8 million for vehicle purchase. Some of that was for the fire department, but a majority of it was for the city vehicles. On the solid waste side, it is 7 vehicles. 5 of them are fully automated collection vehicles. And on the general fund side, it is 44 vehicles for 7 different departments in the city. These are not just for the DPW. So we are looking at roughly 51 vehicles total for the purchase. We purchase all of our vehicles through state contracts at the state level. And the lead time on the trash trucks is anywhere between 9 and 13 months. So being able to get those orders in are extremely important for us. For the councilors' information, the DPW manages all the vehicles in the city except for police and fire. We manage about 460 vehicles in the city. Through maintenance and through purchase, so many vehicles will be traded in. Trash vehicles, just as an FYI, are about $400,000 a piece. So when we need to purchase vehicles, those costs go up pretty quickly. So the $5 million is for 7 vehicles through the solid waste division and 44 vehicles for 7 departments within the city.
Thank you, Director. Are there any questions prior to our vote on item 21? Seeing no further questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the bond order. 2/3 majority vote is required.
On approving the bond, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Absent, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran. Absent, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The bond is approved.
Thank you, councilors.
Madam Clerk, please call item 22.
Item 22 is an order approving contract over 3 years for a lease purchase financing of grounds equipment.
Director Sullivan.
Good evening, Council. This is for both Veterans and Franconia Golf Course. We would like the option of leasing the equipment for up to 5 years. And once that lease bid is open, we'll make the determination. The lease line item is built into both the Veterans Golf Course and the Franconia Golf Course budgets.
Are there any questions for the director? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on authorizing the contract.
On authorizing the contract, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen. Counselor Allen.
Madam Clerk, let the, oh no, actually, Counselor Allen is still here. We just cannot hear him.
Counselor Allen, you're muted.
Counselor Allen, you're muted.
Oh, how about that? Is that better?
We can hear you now.
All right, great. Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The order is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 23.
Item 23 is an order approving the lease of space at 70 Tapley Street to the Springfield Retirement Board.
Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the lease for the retirement office. The only change is, normally was a 3-year lease. We're going up to 5 years. The rent is the same. The rent the retirement system pays the city is $22,278.96 a year.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Are there any questions for the comptroller relative to the lease? Seeing no further questions, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approving the lease, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Lease is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 24.
Item 24 is an order authorizing the transfer of real property known as 169 Maple Street and Southside Central Street to Davenport Advisors, LLC.
Mr. Connors.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, councilors. Brian Connors from the Economic Development Office. This project's been in front of the council for several approvals. This is the final step, which is approval to transfer to Davenport Advisors for redevelopment for an 11-unit market rate housing project at 169 Maple Street.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. Are there any questions or discussion amongst the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to authorize the transfer of property. 2/3 majority vote is required.
On authorizing the transfer, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Absent, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The transfer is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 25.
Item 25 is an FY24 Community Foundation of Western Mass donation for the Old First Church in the amount of $45,900.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. Lindsay Hackett, Deputy Capo, 80 Tamarack Drive in Springfield. This is a grant through the Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts. It has a specific use, which is to fund the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance of the organ at the Old First Church.
Thank you, Ms. Hackett. Are there any questions for the Deputy CAFO? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 26.
Item 26, the Finance Department has asked that it be removed from the agenda.
Withdrawn.
Withdrawn, please.
There's been a request to withdraw item 26. Is there such a motion?
Motion so made.
Motion was made by Counselor Edwards. It was seconded by Counselor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the motion to withdraw? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. The roll is just to allow the item to be withdrawn.
On withdrawing the item, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran, absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Item 26 is withdrawn. Madam Clerk, please call item 28.
Item 28 is the election warrant for the city preliminary.
Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Madam Clerk, are you also speaking to this item?
Yes, thank you, Counselor.
The floor is yours. Please state your name for the record.
Gladys Oyola Lopez, in my capacity as election commissioner for the city of Springfield, 38 Roland Street. Councilors, tonight you have before you the election warrant, which includes several parts. The first part being the election date as September 12th, and the polling hours being from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Additionally, you've been given the list of polling locations, which are the same as the last election. They haven't changed at this point for several years. And additionally, the last part being the September 2023 preliminary early voting schedule. The Election Commission met July 6th and has slated the days for early voting to start on Wednesday, August 30th, and that will run through September 8th. The only break in that will be for the holiday of Labor Day, which is that Monday, 9/4, and it'll be closed. We have early voting sites at Springfield City Hall, which will be every single day, and then the Greenleaf / Claro Concepcion Community Center, which will be on the Saturday prior to the election, and then also for the Ray Jordan Senior Center, which is going to be a Wednesday date. We've coordinated with them to have early voting there as well. Just to speak to the issue that was brought up by several individuals, including some on the council, parking will be offered this year at City Hall. Typically, we have parking across at 1600, and we validate there. Some of the constituents had issued or had stated concerns that walking across that busy road, they were hoping to get parking closer. So we're looking to have parking on the right side of City Hall, 15 to 20 minutes, so that they can come in, vote, and be able to leave without getting ticketed. So we're working with our maintenance to have the parking allocated on the side of the building. Additionally, the vote by mail is going to start the week of August the 4th. So August the 4th is a Friday, and it's going to run right through September 12th. Voters are able to drop off ballots right up to the close of polls on Election Day. Just so that the council is aware, as of this morning, we've had a little over 500 vote-by-mail applicants for this election, for the primary, and applications are being mailed daily to anyone who changes their registration, to any newly registered voters, as well as anyone who is updating their name, their address, or their political party through the office. The staff is mailing out a vote-by-mail application to every single voter that has a transaction with our office.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions for the Commissioner on the election warrant?
I do, Mr. President.
Councilor Davila?
Thank you. Commissioner, good evening. When do you say the early voting start again?
So the in-person early voting would be starting on August 30th.
August 3rd.
Which is 30th, 30,
Sorry, August 3rd.
which is the Wednesday prior to the election.
Goes to September 8th.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions on the election warrant? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the warrant.
On approval of the warrant, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton, absent. Councilor Perez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Sorry, yes.
Yes. Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran, absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes. The votes are sufficient. The warrant is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 29.
Item 29 is the Isolation Hospital Local Historic District.
This item was recalled from committee by Councilor Edwards. Councilor Edwards on the item.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to send this item, continue this item. This item is complicated. There's been a lot of discussions going on about it. There's ongoing negotiations between parties in the city, and there's no risk of the building being demolished in the near future. And it will appear, if this motion was to be passed, it would show up on the next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council in September.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Councilor Edwards made a motion to continue this ordinance to our next regular meeting. Motion was seconded, I believe, by Councilor Walsh.
Yes. Yes.
Is there any discussion on the motion to continue? Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like my colleague, Councilor Edward, has said, this is something I think we really have to discuss. I know, in my opinion, that I do want to preserve the historic value of this particular site. Just like Councilor Edward, this is something that is dear in our hearts, and it does mean a lot to our community. So it's something I do believe that we definitely need to discuss and work on. So I thank my colleague, Councilor Edwards, for all his due diligence and his work in his committee. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Is there any further discussion on the motion to continue? Seeing no further discussion on the motion to continue, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on the motion to continue.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton, absent. Councilor Perez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran? Absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The item is continued. Madam Clerk, please call item 30.
Item 30 is an amendment to Article 4, Section 4.7.114, Adult Use Marijuana.
This is an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Hearing is closed, and this item is on for second and third step. Is there any discussion on the item?
Mr. President, just, this is to increase the hours, correct?
Correct. This is the continuation of the ordinance revision from our last meeting.
And if I may, do we know what, is that 10 PM or 11 PM?
Councilor Edwards, can you speak to the ordinance as it is your ordinance?
This would give all existing and those who may come in the future the option to stay open until 11 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there any further discussion on the ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on second step of the ordinance, and second and third, we can invoke 22C following if there is such a will from the body.
On second and third steps, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran, absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The ordinance passes. Is there a motion to invoke Rule 22C to allow
Motion.
final vote tonight?
Motion made.
Motion was made by Councilor Edwards to invoke 22C. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Maria
Oh,
Perez.
no, second.
Motion was seconded by Councilor Perez. Is there any discussion on the invocation of Rule 22C? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the invocation of Rule 22C for final passage.
On invoking 22C, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The ordinance amendment shall be considered finally passed. Madam Clerk, please call the final item.
Final item is item 31, and amending Chapter 49, Article 2, Section 49-5 of the revised ordinances of the City of Springfield as amended by inserting new language 49 Chestnut Street, Demore, MOFA.
This is an ordinance amendment. It's on for first step tonight. I know this was sponsored by Councilor Perez, and there's also a representative here. Councilor Perez, will you be speaking first?
Yes.
The floor is yours, Councilor.
Well, I have met with the parties. I also conference with Betsy Johnson from the Aqua. We are all in Siemens support. Looking at the history of the what was said on the basis of the XM, this will work in parallel with Mattoon Street and the properties, and I am in support of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Govan.
I'm sorry, that was an accident. Thank you, Mr. President.
No problem, Councilor. Is there any further discussion or questions on first step for the ordinance amendment? I do know there's a representative here from the museums. Given, sir, that you sat through, I do want to give you the opportunity if you'd like to share anything.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on approval of first step.
On approval of first steps, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran. Absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The ordinance passes first step. Is there any further business properly brought before this body, Madam Clerk?
There is not.
Seeing none, we will now stand adjourned. Thank you all.